From May 2016 to November 2025, this guy interfered with the Irish Exchequer. He has now resigned as Minister for Finance to take a job with the World Bank. He is leaving Irish politics out the revolving door. This video explains how Ireland became a case study in neoliberal policy failure. Ireland entered the 2010s with a large bank bailout. The final cost recorded was €41.7 billion. Source: the public carried that cost over the next decade through service cuts and tax adjustments. The bailout totaled approximately 40% of the Irish GDP. It was the second most expensive bailout in the West. Paschal joined the government in 2013. The policy context of the Fine Gael government was one of economic obsession. Their whole model for government was fiscal consolidation, tighten the purse strings, but not for corporations. It became Ireland's goal to attract multinational corporations. Paschal Donohoe was Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform between 2016 and 2020. Then he was the Finance Minister between 2017 and 2022. Between 2013 and 2020, Irish banks sold thousands of distressed mortgages to vulture funds. Minister Paschal said he was confident of protection for homeowners. Then he said he was aware of the process, but he could not intervene. Even Leo Varadkar stated that he did not realise his own mortgage could be sold to a vulture fund. Fine Gael statements often use words like security. They promise voters they are tackling poverty and educational disadvantage. They use emotive language like strengthening families, fostering community, equality of opportunity, innovation, investment, prosperity, safety. His speeches say things like protecting the most vulnerable, progressive budgets, careful deficit reduction, responsible politics. So the stated ethic is responsibility, fairness, truthfulness. Keep that in your head as the benchmark. But let's look at how he actually governed. COVID-19 response, remote working, climate change. Every single one of these budget policy choices made since 2016. He consistently ran policy with a strict focus on fiscal consolidation and prudence. He was the architect of austerity. He hoarded wealth to keep a big fat rainy day fund while starving core systems like health, education, transport and housing of the budgets required to keep the society stable. Fiscal consolidation. Let's talk about those words. Technical, neutral, boring. How's that? In Paschal's mind, fiscal consolidation is probably a bit like cleaning up a messy spreadsheet. But in reality, it means cutting spending on public services. It means even when money is available to the government, they deliberately hold back on investment into the public sector. It means avoiding tax increases on the wealthy. This phrase is a trick. It does not mention who is cutting and what are they cutting. Fiscal shifts the focus from people onto numbers. Consolidation just sounds like you're organising your wardrobe. But when you hear fiscal consolidation, think less money for hospitals, less money for housing, less room to hire staff, more pressure on systems that are already breaking. The state tightens its belt so that investors feel more comfortable. All of these speeches over the years use that term, fiscal consolidation. Meanwhile, in that decade, homelessness has quadrupled. Health budgets continue to overrun, and public investment in infrastructure has lagged far behind obvious need. What about this one? Living within our means. Sounds like a household budget. Anyone who runs a household budget understands these words. The problem is the state is not a household. It can issue currency. It can borrow at a sovereign level. It can tax. It can invest those taxes and it can borrow. And it has obligations to uphold your rights. Housing, health, education. This line naturalizes limits that are political and chosen. We don't have to have low taxes for corporations. If you think that the state needs to run like a household budget, then to you, attempts to expand social provision feel reckless. That is framing, not fact. This simplified economic narrative of money in, money out, live within your means and balance a spreadsheet does not equate for the extraction economy. Phrases like credibility and stability make sure bondholders and rating agencies feel safe, not people. What is stable about insecure housing? Using these terms as a measure of success hides the human trade-off underneath. Consistently in the Irish media, overruns in the health service are framed as mismanagement. This is the SRI's series on poverty and living standards. They have found persistent child poverty in Ireland. They found deep deprivation in lone parent and disabled families. There has been rising pressure on renters throughout the period that he shaped budgets. The ERSI finds that disposable income is falling on average, with households losing up to 4% in this year's budget alone. The rhetoric is protecting the most vulnerable. But the budget choices consistently are let the most vulnerable absorb the shock, even as the state records record revenue. Morally, they are putting balance sheet stability ahead of basic material security for low-income households. During his tenure, local authority building was allowed to collapse, while the government paid more into privatised schemes such as HAP. Instead of creating public assets by building houses, the government gave landlords a subsidy, which increased pressure in the rental market. Meanwhile, the banks sold large portfolios of physical assets in the country, houses, to international vulture funds, real estate trusts that pay no tax. It's creating a rental monopoly where a small number of international buyers control the entire rental supply. The outcome is that homelessness has quadrupled in a decade. We now have record child homelessness and child poverty figures. Real people had their mortgage accounts destabilised by a bank error, then sold out from under them and their arrears inflated, mostly with no realistic restructuring offered, just repossession, threats, and homelessness. So while the rhetoric is families, community, security, the policies structurally weakened all public provisions. They invited in vulture funds and treated secure housing as subordinate to the balance sheet. Who is owed security? The Irish taxpayer or the foreign investor? These policies treat investors and creditors as the priority rights holders. Donohoe now leaves to become the managing director and chief knowledge officer at the World Bank. His salary is in the $500,000 a year range. Irish lobbying law does not have a cooling off period. That gap has been flagged repeatedly by Transparency International and ethics watchers. He is going to go now and export his best practices on fiscal policy and reform, while the model he helped design continues to produce poverty domestically. He created record homelessness and deepened Ireland's dependence on volatile corporation tax. Countries that accept World Bank loans accept their terms also, which means he's off now to spread the poison. This is a classic revolving door pattern. His domestic austerity and market-first policy are being rewarded by the market who want to be put first. Why this man doesn't face an ethical conundrum of his own is simple. Our rules of government do not treat this large-scale social harm from policy as an ethical issue at all. So long as the investors are satisfied, he remains credible, even virtuous, whatever the domestic fallout may be.